What's up, guys? Welcome back to another TCG Scrubs podcast. I'm Oscar, and we're one less scrub short. Wait, I misphrased that already. We're a scrub short, so I'm trying to say one scrub short. Joey, I don't know why he's not here, but we do have Team ARG's Colin. What's up, Colin?
Oh, not much. Just hanging out.
As
you do.
We're doing this again, guys, because Colin didn't record his audio the first time. It was great. Anyways, how did your team do at the GP? I'm assuming they did great.
Pretty good as far as I can tell. At least 50% of the people that went there did pretty good. From what I can
Was
tell.
Dylan Hunt there? I thought he was supposed to go. I was actually realizing that. 'Cause I know we talked.
He missed his flight, I believe, is what happened.
That seems to be like kind of like a something that happened, because I know Victor Harris missed it because he missed his flight as well. Yeah. But how about you? Did you make your flight? What did you do at the GP? Did you do good?
I did pretty good. I didn't lose any games, so that was pretty good.
Does it feel super cheesy to say that joke again, Colin?
No,
I saw you smiling as you were saying it. Before we get too far, though, let's go ahead and, as always, I want to thank Happy Little Hug Factory for being a sponsor of the channel. If you guys are looking for sealed product, I believe the starter decks should still be up. I know that last I heard they're sold out of the boxes. Besides those two, if you're looking for singles, or if you're looking to get rid of some singles, they do have a buy list you can check out. But make sure to visit the link in the description below so they do know that we sent you over. And a special thank you to also our patrons who make a lot of things like this possible. Constantly upgrading and trying new things. We have some cool stuff, as usual, in the works that we're really excited to see kind of come through. It'll probably be almost in like a month or so till we see these things. But if you'd like to join that team up, people visit patreon.com/TCGscrubs. Again, link in the description below, and you can kind of give us a little bit of support and help push things along.
Before we get too into it, as you guys might have noticed, both on the Patreon front and on the normal YouTube front, there's been a little bit less content. Well, I guess not necessarily on the Patreon front, but we were planning on doing more video content on Patreon, and we haven't done that yet. And on the main YouTube channel, we didn't have the news last week. We just had the podcast and the surprise interview with Alan Hicks, which if you guys didn't see that, make sure and go check that out. But there's been a little bit less content lately, so just want to say apologies for that. It's mainly because combination of normal life side stuff working on, and we've been putting work into the teaching week videos that were supposed to be out already. The little bit more stuff going into them, and so it's been taking a little bit longer essentially to put those together. So we're putting mainly all of our effort into the teaching videos and getting those done. And then after those are done, I will be gone for 1 week. I'll be visiting some family out of state. And so content will still probably be on a little bit of a lull for 1 week after that. And then we'll be coming back with a lot more stuff, because not only will we be back with inside of our normal feed, but we will be done with the teaching week videos, so we can concentrate on our normal, the podcast, the news, concentrate more on having our weekly gameplay videos, both in real life and Lackey, as well as deck profiles. I have a deck profile I got to do here for a patron that will be coming out, either already out or will be coming out later this week. And different things like that. So we'll come back in full force, as well as other content. I'm going to be doing some Transformer TCG videos. Oscar will have some Warhammer videos and stuff. So a lot of cool stuff planned along with the Patreon video content. So just wanted to get that out there that, yeah, there wasn't a lot of content last week, and won't be for the next 2 weeks or ish. But after that, we'll be back in full swing.
Yeah, and you guys will get a podcast for this week and the following week, but then the first week of November there won't be a podcast. As a matter of fact, I think that the week of the 5th through 9th will just be like a pretty much dead week. You won't see anything from the channel, and then that's when we'll come back and start doing stuff again. And we also take the Thanksgiving week off, so you won't get a podcast that week either. And then, Christmas week. And
you'll probably have other content, though, that we scheduled ahead of time.
Yeah, we'll record some stuff.
As far as lulls, we won't have that, but after that. And just because, yeah, all those different things, but we'll be back.
Yeah.
So, we have some cool stuff to talk about.
We had some very exciting things to discuss. This was the first GP of the season. It was kind of a surprise GP. It wasn't originally one. But I'm pretty sure that there's some people maybe kicking themselves, wishing they had put maybe more efforts into working with Games and Geek and Svetlana, because if you guys remember, this is probably right around summertime. Games and Geeks, owner Svetlana Young. She had contacted pretty much, or sent on Facebook, hey, if you're working to get your stores, numbers up, contact me. I can give you kind of first round buys, second round buys, whatever, for my, it was originally a 5K, right? I think.
I can't remember if it was either 2K or 5K.
It kept jumping up in prices. What we're getting at, but anyways, she said you get first round buys, whatever, and I don't know how many people truly took advantage of that. I know we didn't really reach out for our locals, but all of a sudden that event turns into a GP, and then those buys are suddenly super valuable now. I'm pretty sure people who were like, man, I really probably should have taken advantage of that and had a first round buy in the GP. That would have been amazing.
Yeah. And it helped. It really helped with, was it Brandon? I think Brandon, because he was running late. He ended up running late. Maybe he missed his flight too, or so. I forget why, but he was running late, and so. But he had 2 buys, so he had an actual cushion time before he arrived there, which was pretty funny, I thought.
Yeah,
but
I know he was on.
Valuable.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and I know we didn't reach out to our locals mainly because we just didn't have a big enough crowd to justify running an event with buys. But definitely, if people had the opportunity to do that and didn't, that sucks.
Yeah. I remember he was Brandon was on stream commentating for round 2. Get to hear him talk. I was wondering if he had lost already and dropped or something. But
he was like, I'm done.
Yeah. But what was I going to say about that? I'm already blanking on it.
But it ended up turning to not only a GP, but also a 10K. Probably, honestly, more than a 10K with the amount of pricing they ended up getting, including regular G-Pre pricing for the new season that we don't know what it is yet, but I assume it's, the rulers, acrylic rulers and stuff like that. But they weren't created in time, but they'll be mailed out to the winners. So we haven't actually visually seen them yet, but I'll be excited to see those when they arrive at those people's doors.
Yeah, and I really want to see what the playmats are this go around, because last few seasons it was like there was a starter deck rulers for the playmat, and it was all the draft rulers for the playmat. I'm really curious what they're going to go with this time. Is it going to be like all 10 rulers squeezed in? What if it's that image that Facebook or they're using on their Facebook for their thumbnail on the top? You know what I'm talking about? With all 10 rulers and squares.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
And or they just use the Arcanas, the draft rulers.
Yeah,
because they have 3 of them, and that's 6 images they could use, and they're just like, use that.
Yeah, but back to the event, there was about 97 pre-registered. But when it came to actual attendance, that was 84. And I do believe that's because all the handfuls of people who missed flights or were originally going to go, and then maybe last minute something came up and they couldn't go anymore.
Yeah, we named 3 right off the bat on this podcast. So it's just, random happenstance comes up and stuff like that. But considering all things considered, that's really good, especially for, obviously it was going to be a decent-sized event for it. It was an 8K last we had heard. And so people were going to be going to that. But it was only, as far as like myself, if I knew it was a GP with paid invite, I probably would have attempted to go to it just for various reasons. Because even though I think it's super awesome and the 8K would have been, if I had money to spare, I would have gone to it. The invite is the most important thing right now. And so if I had known that ahead of time, I would have try to make plans for it, and I'm sure a lot of people were in the same boat. So, in considering there was only a 1 month-ish notice of it being a GP, I think the attendance of it being 87 or whatever it ended up being is really good, all things considered, especially compared to the attendance to last year's GPs. That 87 is in the higher end of what we were seeing last year. So, I think that's a really good way to start off the season, and gives me hope for the remaining GPs as well. Although it'll be interesting to see how those work because of how different they are, but we'll see.
Yeah. So for the event itself, we actually have the ruler distribution here. Again, there was going to be 84. I said that right? 84 in attendance. I feel like I may have said 83 or 87. But 84. And the ruler breakdown from like the greatest number to least number is going to be 13 Time Spinning Witch, 12 Kirik, 9 Brunhild, 9 Lucifer, 8 Chamimi, 8 Gil, 7 Ayun, 6 Isis, 5 Aimul, 3 Loki, 3 Tigress, 2 Scarlet, 1 Seal, which I think was very interesting. And then these are all 1-ups. So Freyla, Hanzo, Rhea, and Shayla.
Okay. Okay. So that's just going off of that. We haven't seen just that diverse of a ruler breakdown in a long time. Usually it's, even if, let's say, if you take out the first spot, the first ruler, it could look similar to that list. Sometimes you have to take off the first 2 or 3 maybe, but then the rest will look like what you just said. It'll be like 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, essentially. And then you'll get to actual second and first place, and it'll be like, you know, the third place would be 13, and also no jump to 20, and also no jump to 40, or even greater we've seen than that. And this one, it just looks like a list we would have seen if you chopped off the top couple rulers, where it's just like everything is right next to each other, which I thought was really cool. And first being time spinning witch, I mean, I think that's less time spinning witch time spinning witch is really strong, but people feeling like, oh, this is the comfortable choice because I can just lock my opponent out and I just win by default. But based on what we saw play out for the rest of the thing, I think most people were ill prepared maybe to play time spinning witch for the most part.
I think so, and I do agree with the spread is very nice. Like, I was trying to find it right now, and I found the Collinsville GP, which is one we went to. It had 120 in attendance, granted, but like the number one deck was 26 Scheherazade. So you can see it's quite spread out. I feel from even that, you know, difference in attendance. I like it.
Yeah,
I'm very surprised with some numbers. Like I think a lot of people were wanting to see Tigress like really just come through and like kick some butt and show up, you know. But it didn't. So Colin, you already know what was in top 8, huh?
Yes, if I remember right.
I'm just gonna see if I can quiz you and be like, what do you think will make top 8? But for our top 8 ruler breakdown, we do have 3 Chimimis, 1 time spinning witch, 1 Ayu, 1 Kirik. I'm sorry, 2 Ayus, 1 Kirik, and 1 Gil. It's pretty good.
Yeah. No, if I had briefly, I don't know if I had talked on video or not, but my prediction for the top 8 would have included definitely more than 1 Gil in it, and I definitely would not have had 2 IU in it. So I thought that was it's definitely I think people were saying, I don't know if you had a chance to verify this, of it being one of the most diverse top 8s we've seen in a very long time.
Oh yeah, and it's funny when you're watching stream, some people would reminisce either in chat or maybe Jeremy may have said it too, like having not enjoyed something like this since LEL, you know, had come out, and it was like that real distribution that was really nice. But yeah, no, we haven't had like such great ruler distribution in quite a while, you know, in not just attendance but in top 8. I know that some people in stream, you know, jumping to conclusions or just seeing that there's 3 Chimimis and a Gil, and they're like saying, see, green's still strong and stuff like that. But going in the top 4, only one green deck even made it through, and that was a Chimimi. And then in finals, it was Ryan Miles versus Kaltuma, and that was Time Spinning Witch versus Ayu. And Ayu is running like 5 colors, and yes, Time Spinning Witch did splash in green. Like, it is necessary to run some things like, say, Fair Spell, but and Lorites. But in the end, Time Spinning Witch takes it. It took the game.
Yeah, no, I thought that was pretty cool, Time Spinning Witch. I still consider sort of, I know it's more mainstream now, but in my head, I consider that more so the close to, now I'm going blank on the name, the whale, what is it called?
Wailord?
Wailord, the Wailord deck of like it's just an interesting deck overall, but it's easy to shut down. But I'm sure Ryan knows how easy it is to shut down and either adjust the deck or just his play accordingly. Especially if he was able to beat out IU, which IU would be a good, not necessarily counter to it, but because of how fast it's able to go online, it could circumvent the being locked out by simply just get it judgmenting pretty quickly and then just sticking to the board for a while. So
yeah,
it's and as far as
I'll say that on stream it was kind of said that about IU, and it's like kind of arguable that you can say it's about any ruler, but I kind of get where they're coming from when they said this, but like that when nobody prepares for IU, then you're going to lose to IU. And like, yeah, you can say about any ruler, if you don't prepare for a certain ruler, you're going to lose to it. But I think it's just because of the trickiness that IU has. Like, if you truly are unprepared for that, she really is just going to come in and like, because she'll come in now do great. You see all these IUs in whatever near top, or this one's, you know, 2 of them make top 8. But then you can see the next event. If they say, pretend they held an event not even like 2 weeks from now, and then you can see, like, say more IUs show up as a result, but not do nearly as well, because people will be prepared to counter that. You know what I'm saying? And it's easier to counter it because I think that one leans heavily on combo tricks than, say, some of the other decks actually do.
Yeah. And as far as green and people being concerned about green, the reason that green is showing it some more, and the reason you mentioned it splashes, is because of things like Fair Spell and Lorite and the reason Fair Spell, I mean, is super strong, but one of the reasons you want to splash Fair Spell in most decks is because of Lorite, and if you're splashing green for Fair Spell without dual stones and all that, then you want to also run another green, so you're going to run Lorite. So it's this sort of like vicious circle. So it's not necessarily a green problem at this point as much as it's a Lorite and kind of sort of Fair Spell a problem at this point, because Chimimi and Gil, yes, they're both green, but they're 2 very different types of decks of how they work and all that stuff. So it's not an inherent problem inside of green outside of those 2 cards. And so I'm not as concerned about green as I was last time with these sort of results and the types of decks we're getting. And it's not what we were seeing before, where it's just at minimum 7 or 8 spots or some type of green deck, or Sherazade specifically, and if it's not Sherry, it's something else. That's, even if it's technically not green, it's not splashing green. It's just like anywhere from 60% plus green, but it just has a different color ruler and stuff like that. And we're not seeing that here because you can't really do that here because of the single stone format and all that. So I mean, I could be wrong. We'll see how other GPs line up and how the decks line up and what cards they're specifically using. But I don't think it's necessarily a green problem this time around.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And with this type of spread, I don't think there's any problem at all at this point in time. Just people might be upset that there's not... granted, I was complaining about the format before quite a lot, but I want there to not be anything to complain about. That's my ultimate goal. So I'm glad there's nothing to complain about, but I'm sure there's people who are upset that there's nothing left to complain about at this point in time.
They'll start reaching. Something I'm curious about is gonna like divert away from like this GP and its results. It's gonna be going back to like the company saying how we're gonna have a much shorter off season, and then I felt like it was more like sort of convenience. As like, hey, this is a big hyped up event, turn it into a GP, shorter season, so shorter off season. But then it's like, where's our announcement for our next GP? There should be one like 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, not even a month from now. Like, if we go until December and then they announce the rest of the GPs and they start up in January, it's just like we truly didn't have like no off season. It's just like there's one convenient event that happened in the middle. So like that is something like I'm personally concerned about. Like I want to see some more events fire up. You know, make the announcement already. I know, like, I saw a post coming from Jim and replied to somebody about whether or not they're going to have Force of Will in their ARG, what's it called? Their bigger events, not the States. Because
Circuit Series?
Yeah, their Circuit Series. Because there was a post from Jim not even a few months ago saying that they had pulled it out and they weren't going to do any more, stuff, or they hadn't heard from the company yet. I know they are working with it, so that's something that's being worked on, and I have confidence it's going to come back. But, like, GP seasons itself, like when are these going to start firing off? Are they getting the results they need coming in through their tournament software, determine where the next WGPQ will be? Are they going to base it on the states that are coming up in November? Is the fact that there's states in November considered part of the fact that there's a shorter off season? Like, I have all these questions and I feel like there's lack of answers right now, and it's it is kind of irritating. Like, I want to see stuff starting to show up now.
Because we're in October, so we're already hitting November. And if there's not a GP at minimum late November, early December, anything past early December, I wouldn't consider that a shorter off-season, even though it's technically earlier than usual.
I would have just considered it a convenience, complete convenience. That there was
it's completely... It's them... Sorry, my cat's digging in a box in the background. But... It's a completely like random coincidence, and they're either using it to not have to do any work for any other GPs to put them together, or so hopefully, and especially because we're in October, I feel like we should start getting announcements now. Not like, oh, I feel like we should if we're having a short off. I feel like just in general, even if they're doing it in January again, I feel like just if it'd be good to get them. I know it's hard to nail down location and stuff, but after last year, us getting announcements, what was it, 3 weeks before the first GP was taking place or something like that? 3 or 4 weeks? That was like ridiculous and super dumb. And I'm not putting blame on like Rob or anyone. I don't know whose fault it was, but that whole last season, there's stuff that happened that was out of their control that I know for sure about and stuff like that. But as far as like as the first GP happening, the announcement for it, then all of a sudden announcing that certain ones were sealed, and then all of a sudden only one of them turning out to be sealed, and all of a sudden one of them becoming Wanderer, which was cool but wasn't known ahead of time until a certain point, and then the location change of the other one, which once again wasn't their fault, but like, you know, it was just the whole last GP season was super messy, and unfortunately I think that was one of the things that led into the GP attendance being lower, and it wasn't just like, you know, what people might have said of, oh, the game's dying or anything like that. I'm sure there's less people playing it, and that might have contributed to it. But it also was just the whole GP season was a little bit messy and how it was communicated and stuff like that. So I'm hoping we don't follow suit like that. Like you said, if they announce that it's a shorter GP season and then we don't get anything and we're not told we're not getting anything, or we are getting something but then it's announced a couple weeks ahead of time like was just happened with hers, you know, that sucks because I can't go to stuff in short notice. If they announce, oh, the Dallas GP or something happening that's in Texas for us is happening that I would for sure go to, and it's happening in a couple weeks, and I needed a flight or time off or something like that, then it's like, well, I can't. I have a life.
I know, it's like one of the first seasons where we're like kind of, with the exception of like obviously it's 10K, like we're ready to go to a GP. Like we want to go to more than just one or two this season. We want to try to make it to even more of them, but we need that heads up, announcement at least, so we can get prepared for that and take time off or our flights booked or whatnot, so we can try to go to those. I'm also curious because like if there's going to be only 2 GPs this season, they're official like company held GPs. I'm basing this off the information they gave us in the article that was released on the website. Then all the others are the WGPQs are held in stores. What happens in a situation where they use, say, tournament software, which is what they're saying they use to determine where the next one will be, to say, hey, there's like 20 people showing up at this store. This is amazing. Hey, the next one's going to be at that store. Let's contact the store owner. And the store owner is like, cool, yeah, we can hold it. Hey, our max capacity is 50. You know what I'm saying? Like all of a sudden it's like, so people who are going to have to pre-register, and all of a sudden you get people who are pre-registering who just can't make it, and then all of a sudden they fill it to, say, 37. And it's like, well, there's 13 seats that could have been filled that didn't. Or there's going to be no pre-registration, and people are going to show up, be like, hey, I want to play. We're at capacity. It's like, well, I flew from New York to, say, Colorado, and I'm trying to play in this. Now I got turned away. So, like, how does that turn out?
Yeah, because, I'm curious how the process is for determining stores, because if it's just like, oh, you have an active attendance or something like that, like, let's say it's really crazy, like every week they get 20 people or something like that. Still, you can get 20 people at a tiny store that can't hold people. Like it might be the best location as far as like people that would consistently go in a store that supports it, but it's not a great location for a GP with multiple people unless the store is able to like rent out a location or something like that, which they wouldn't do unless the company provides it or something like that. But it's still a lot of coordinating, and having these big events is cool for the local stores, but still, even if their store can hold the capacity, it's a matter of, hey, they can hold this many people, but at what point do they need to make sure that the store like hires maybe security for the event, or make sure that there's certain, if the event has alcohol like Games and Geek, then there might be other laws from state to state to look out for and stuff like it. I feel like there's a lot of things that to take into account. So I'm sure they've already figured all this stuff out, but I'd be curious to know what exactly is figured out and how this is going to happen.
Wait, Games and Geek had alcohol?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's what people were really excited about.
Well, that's interesting. Sorry, I thought
that was his takeaway from all of that.
Well, I had no idea that was a thing. Makes sense. I think I saw some post that was mentioning something. I was like, oh, okay. But I didn't know it was going to refer to that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I also want to be like clear, like I know we sound probably super complaining right now about like all this, or we just turned a good thing into a bad thing all of a sudden. It's really, it's super awesome that's GP that did happen. Super grateful for the stuff the company does. Just like there's still questions, there's still a lot of like holes and gaps, and it's like, you know, Worlds is over now, and I know that was an excuse for a bit. It's like Worlds, you know, wrapped up, or we're doing stuff. It's just like I start getting some announcements rolling. I start hearing some stuff. You know, let's hear that GP season already. You know, you're saying it's a short off season. Let's hear where those dates are now. But I guess we'll see what happens. And maybe I know Jeff listens, so maybe if he wants to come on and clarify some stuff that we may have brought up there, that's probably true. Good points. You know, he can help clarify that. If not, you guys can usually just double check in the comments below. We'll try to pin his next comment so you can kind of, you know, follow his update. He'll usually comment on these and be like, oh, to be clear, this, you know, something like that. So Jeff, if you'd rather do that, you can do that too.
Yeah, no, and once this, and he can only convey what's available. But if you want to let us know when the information becomes available, you can come on and sort of clarify all that as well for at a later date. That'd be cool, because I'd be really curious. But before we get too off track, but the GP was super awesome, I think, because it nailed all the points that we wanted to see in a GP. The ruler breakdown was diverse. The top 8 ruler breakdown and top 4 ruler breakdown was all diverse. It had a pretty good attendance. The pricing is some of the best pricing I've ever seen in the game. It had I'm trying to think of some of the other points to break down, but I feel like it checked pretty much every box we would want to see in GP. It had side events afterwards, including cash pricing side events, and from what I hear and stuff. So that's super, and I love side events so much. I wish I didn't. I could just like do really good and get a Worlds invite at a GP, and so I could go to other GPs and like play for a bit and then just drop out and do side events, because they're just super fun, because you just sit down, you do a couple rounds, and usually I can do like more janky decks because I'm not having to worry about whoever's going to win because they're over there playing the actual tournament. So I can go and be like, like I did before, here's my Millium 2.0 deck, and actually do really good with it and win a booster box, or maybe not win and be like, oh, dang it, I'll go drop another 10 or 20 bucks and try this again and stuff. Like, I love that type of stuff. And I hope all the GPs they probably won't be run as well as Games and Geek, because they're really good at running this stuff and have done big events before, if they're all going to be at local stores, you know, judging by that barometer. But I'm hoping that they can do similar styles. Basically, just all they have to do is look at what Games and Geek did and just copy and paste that to the best of their ability of what they're able to do. And I think we'll be in for good stuff. I am also curious, like, how much was in whose hands at the GP? Like, how much was truly ran by Games and Geek, or how much was truly ran by, say, Stephanie Shaw and whatever team she had working with her for pairings, and, you know, how many judges were at the event, stuff like that. It'd be interesting to find out. Yeah, I mean, Games and Geek probably has it down pretty good, because they've done 2K events and stuff before with decent attendance, so they probably have a decent amount of it done. Stephanie probably helped organize it a bit better, maybe with their software and the names and all that, so better take what they're doing before and adjust it for a larger crowd, essentially. But I think it is probably pretty well run by Games and Geek, and that's evidenced by the pricing support and stuff like that. They were just running this event and then kept getting pricing in from third party and the main Forcible company, and eventually become a main a real GP, still run by them. And so I think that's something cool also about it, was you had this thing that we could see replicated by other stores, because if it's run by Force Will, I mean, it's nice because you get the big old play space area and different things like that. But the nice thing about theirs, you get the official pricing, but then as a store, you want to make as much money as possible. So you are going to go out of your way to upfront maybe your own pricing, like she did with the cast pricing, reach to other sources to get other pricing, like the Malaysian tokens and stuff like that. And so because she was trying to get more people in, I see you, Oscar.
He's trying so hard to get back there. It's like he can't get comfortable or something.
By being run by an independent store, I feel like there might technically be more effort put into extra pricing and different things, cool things like that, which lends to, because her GP ended up becoming technically a 10K. I think it ended up being more than a 10K when all things considered, but 10K thing, which the company would never do. The closest we got was the cash prizing event, which they'll probably never do again because they hate us. Just kidding, you guys are great. Cool, man.
No, she had amazing pricing. Like I heard, like the Malaysian coins she got, like they weren't just the ones that everybody's been getting. They're actually exclusive for the event. And then on top of that, like even up to I think like I already forget. Like usually in a GP when you go to it, everybody gets a participation like playmat and like a promo card. Like it was like Little Red Riding Hood or Soul this last season. Like you're still gonna get that, I'm sure. Like the company's gonna send it in, but on top of that, she was adding additional pricing. Like okay, you know, top 8's getting this much more, top 16's getting this much more, top like 20 something. It's like you're also getting this. It's like you don't see that in a normal GP, and that was amazing. Like she was even giving out full places of Japanese promos to certain placements where you're landed.
And that's the other cool thing is not really bouncing off of you, but at local game stores. Because it's been hit or miss at the GPs, whether there's a vendor there. But if you're at the game store that sells singles, for example, that's super awesome. Because if you have a deck that's missing a card, you can buy a single.
Mm-hmm.
You do what I did and just like be like, oh, it's cool just having someone in person who sells singles. I'll pay extra money for singles versus online just to have them right now in person. And it's just a cool experience. Or getting the rare stuff that's hard to find, like Japanese promos or stuff that... or like doing instant trade-ins, like that's how I got my Uber Faria that I needed, and some other stuff and you got your original Vin Golf cards that you were looking for and stuff.
Valhalla.
Like it's just a cool, Valhalla. I don't know why I said overall like atmosphere and stuff. So it's there's a second point I was going to go to that had to do with it, but it's just super cool for something that. Basically an access to things that we would never get probably with an official Force of Will ran thing like cash pricing and stuff like that. So that's my point. What was my point?
I don't know, but yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool to have the option of having it inside of the store for the possibility of cash pricing. I can almost guarantee you though, like there's not going to be every store that does this. Like if we had this, like say in Austin, 0 cash pricing.
I was going to say like things like the cash pricing and the extra pricing and Malaysian tokens, everything that she got. If other places did stuff similar, obviously, like you're saying, not everyone's going to be able to do it. It's also motivation for, I know people might have been complaining about this, but I don't care. But for players who already won their invite or top 8 or something like that, it's motivation for them to go to more GPs, and which helps boost the attendance numbers and helps. It's cool for like people who follow the scene of like seeing who runs what and help define the meta more and stuff like that. So it's just extra motivation. It's like especially for like me, if I'm not going to win top 4 or something like that to get that paid or unpaid invite. If I get top 8, that's enough motivation to keep going to GPs over and over and over again until I can get something else, or if it has good side events and stuff like that. Like any type of motivation to keep people recurring and wanting to fly out places and stuff like that is good.
Yeah, I'm also curious how it'd be handled with because a new store with say competent employees who know how to communicate can still run a bad event. You know what I'm saying? Like they can easily also have like they open up and all of a sudden like 25, 30 people show up and Force Will's like, hey, we're gonna run there, and they're like, okay, cool, and then the whole event just run like complete crap. It's like, how do you avoid certain things like this? Like, yeah, I was lucky that Games and Geek. I'm just realizing how I'm just bringing up every negative point I possibly can. I'm really tired. Games and Geek was like great. They run large events, but what if they hadn't? What if they just hadn't run great events in the past? It wasn't very like widely known, but they're having a 10K. You know what I'm saying? And then this is a completely horrible event. Luckily, it was an amazing event. Just we've been to LGSs. There's like this is like really badly run. Like who? Have you done this? Like your main priority is Magic the Gathering. How have these Magic players not complained about what you're doing here? It's just certain things like that. It's like how do you avoid those? Or you come
across a store that's super popular with Force Will players or whatever, and is able to get that GP feed, but the store owner themselves don't actually care, and so they delegate everything to like just whoever puts the locals together or something like that. They're like, hey, this is cool. can you figure this out for me? And they don't like think about it or put much effort into it, so it's all put together by someone who doesn't know how, or they delegate it to a new employee or something like that, just because they're like, it's not magic, I don't care, because there's a lot of stores like that.
Well, even then,
but they still want to.
Sorry, our LGS, it's amazing. I love going there, and Lauren's awesome. But it's just like when we get states events, she wants the states event to be able to run as short as possible. So as a result, we get like, one best of ones is essentially what it is. Like a complete best of one going to top 8, best of 3. And I didn't really see an issue with it, but then like one of the Dallas people, I think it was Omar, had brought up a really good point saying that that's 2 different decks operating. Like you do best in 1, you go in with like this like complete surprise combo deck, it does great. You go do best of 3, it's suddenly going to lose instantly, because like game 1 you may win, but then going to game 2 and 3, if there's even that necessary point, it's like you're out. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're going to lose because they're going to try to counter what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's well, if you like maybe know way ahead of time, it could serve to be in like a super interesting event in the sense of like, hey, this is going to be a best of 1 event. Let's see how that goes, and that could be kind of interesting if everyone knows ahead of time. But because, like you said, it's a big difference in the type of deck you're going to be running. Those random surprise OTK decks, and because of that, you're going to have your opponents running it, so there's no one actually running counters to it, control decks, because if they run that, they risk being lost to another surprise deck. So it's just people trying to out-surprise each other, which could actually be a really interesting event. But it's one of those things, you have to know about ahead of time. It has to be like, it's an entire different type of gameplay.
I'm just concerned, like if we were to get the GP at our store, like I'm afraid it would be attempted to be run like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, does the company have the authority to be like, no, you're doing best of 3 completely throughout the whole day? You open at noon? No, you can't open at noon for the day. I know you're all these LGSs, they open up around noon or 1. That's why I see, around our locals at least, more than just the ones we go to. It's like they then have to say, no, you now have to open for the day or 2 days, open up at like 9 a.m. because you're going to have people there. And also they have to pay their employees even more to be able to be there in the morning, stuff like that. It's just, I hope like these are points that have been thought out already by the company, and so that Jeff can be like, no, here's this, that, this, and that. Or if they haven't, they'd be like, that's a good point, that's a good point. And they can have more takeaways from this than, seeing us as, or me at least, as just complaining this entire time.
Well, and I'm sure they'll have like a terms and conditions that they go through. And be like, hey, it's got to be open for this amount. And I would hope that if the store like accepts it, they're like, okay, you have to open at 8 a.m. instead of 12. We'll compensate you for whatever employees and stuff like that for being open that time. Will be this amount, not to exceed X and X amount, and stuff like that. So it's sort of themed so that the store isn't paying out of pocket to run Force of Will's event for them. And so I assume that they thought all of that out. And like if it is and it all runs good, then it should prove to be really cool. For some of the points that I mentioned with them wanting to provide better pricing to try and, because they want to, if they're running that event, they want to max out their capacity that they can physically do, and so they want to do everything they can. And they could just start out with saying, hey, we're running a GP with the forcible pricing, here it is. And if it's sort of slow on people signing up for it, then it can be like, oh look, we just found this type of pricing or cash pricing, or we got some more we run singles, so when you win you also get this store credit to use that same day on singles or whatever and stuff like that. They could do other ways to get people in, and it's a way to incentivize, whereas Force of Will, they'll just throw the GP out there and then wait and see what happens, whereas stores are incentivized to keep trying doing stuff to bring people in until they max out their attendance number.
Yeah, but I'm pumped. Let's see what comes up now. I can't wait to see the next event. This event was awesome. Great ruler distribution, great top 8. I was going to go over the list, but it's just like there's text lists. I'm a visual person. Joey's not here. I'm sure Joey would like to go through these too. So maybe we'll do this next week.
We'll try and get that up on the tcgscrubs.com website as well, updated with all the lists and the breakdown. It should all be up there.
If you guys,
not by the time this podcast comes up, hopefully pretty soon here.
And if you guys head over to our website and you go to the top 8, it used to just be you click on it and you'd see the season 3. Now when you click on it, you'll see all the other seasons. I haven't filled up season 1 and 2 yet, but I have all the deck lists from season 1 and 2 for all the events that took place. I'll be posting in. The events won't be in order of when they actually happened. I asked everybody. I even asked Jeff, like, what the GP dates were. If anybody knows, nobody knows anywhere. And it sucks because whenever the GP announcements were made, it was on the website, and all people did was share the website link into the Facebook groups. And so whenever you go back to the website, the links don't exist anymore. So you can't get all those dates anymore. And then the other hard part was, it's like, I don't need season 3 anymore. I was there for it. I can have all of them in order on the website. But when you go to season 3, they would update the website by removing the dates and saying this event's already occurred. So it's like, leave the date on there. Just say it's already occurred. But I don't know. Like, I would love if anybody out there has it that's watching this and can post in the comments and has the full listing of all the events. Like, even if it's just a U.S. events, I'd be thankful for that. And if you happen to have world events, like dates, you could put that too. But either way, those 2 tabs will be filled up soon. I've reworked kind of the layout of the events, because I know when you're on mobile, it doesn't list them in order correctly. It will list them in order soon. But yeah, so click on season 4, which is the season we're on now, and you should see this event up there next like day or two. Like, actually, yeah, this comes out Tuesday. It should already be up by Tuesday. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit of a shorter podcast, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it, Oscar?
I did. I was very tired. I didn't want to sound as complaining as I did. Please forgive me, everybody. I'll get sleep. I made some good points, I feel, and yes, let's see if we get some answers to those.
Yeah. Yeah, but overall, really like the event, and I'm super excited to see this hopefully short GP season continue.
And if you guys didn't see the stream, go watch it. It was a very good stream. Like, all the games were pretty solid. The commentary was awesome. It was Jeremy from Ruler School, and usually a special guest of whoever wasn't playing for the round, or if somebody dropped or whatever. Somebody was always there to help guest commentate with him. So I know Colin didn't watch it. Colin, you should really go watch it. At least watch top 8. Like, it was really,
I watched some of it.
It was really good.
No, I caught it. I caught it off and on, and some of it I just listened to in the car instead of watching it. But I was just really busy this weekend. But the audio, I could tell, was really nice too. I know he had upgraded a lot of his audio equipment.
He's been doing a lot of upgrades. Cool. Thanks for everybody who's helping support him and everything. You can find the streams on the official company YouTube channall. Sorry, my dog is all of a sudden awake. The official company YouTube channel, as well as their Twitch channel. So if you want to go and watch those, those are the 2 locations you can catch it on.
And if they're not already, I know before they had taken it and then broke the videos up and re-uploaded them to the Forceful channel based on the game. So it's not just one giant 30,000 hour stream. So hopefully that'll be done by the time this comes out. If not, probably in the next week.
But yeah, Jeremy, you did awesome, and keep up the good work. And Company 2, Games and Geek, and we'll see you all next time.
Oh, and Ryan Miles won, in case we didn't say that.
Good job, Ryan Miles.